I just finished watching the first episode of Amazon's Fallout series. Let's just get right into this. The introductory scene before the bombs fall is actually some of the best television I've ever seen Amazon make at any point with any show. It's beautiful, well-paced, fantastic, looks fantastic, and a really great homage to the Fallout video games and some of the scenes that we saw, say, in Fallout 4. The problem starts when the series starts its actual narrative, which brings us to Vault 33. A couple of things before we get into this. Fallout is female. It's not just the Force. No, Fallout is female. And it's not just female, it's the bestest female ever. We're introduced to a vault which is really kind of an interesting microcosm into what Hollywood thinks about the country that allowed it to develop and create so much wealth and power. This show is out of the gate shits on the nuclear family, essentially says women in marriages are only to do it to be breeders, and men are stupid, but they put up with them. Now, the main character within this vault is somebody named Lucy. She has a brother who, because this is intersectional storytelling, is stupid, might be evil, but he's definitely stupid. Not only that, he's ugly as hell, because we have to make Fallout as female lady look even more like the bestest ever. Now, why is she the bestest ever? She knows everything. There's a montage that has her shooting guns and doing judo and knowing electronics and being the bestest ever at science with her dad, who is played by Kyle MacLachlan, who's only in the first episode for about 20 minutes and doesn't really say anything or do anything until the vault is overcome by raiders who sneak their way in. Now, the whole reason that these raiders get in is because the main character, Fallout is female, Lucy chick, she has to get married. And because these families have all been in this vault for 200 years, she needs to get somebody from another vault to have sex with, to have babies, to enslave her into a marriage and be a breeder. It's very clear once the doors on the vault open to another vault, presumably there's this triangle of vaults, that whoever is coming in is unwashed and definitely not your typical vault dweller. So we get to a marriage scene, and then immediately we have the Fallout is female lady go back to the bedroom with her new husband, who admittedly is a eye candy type for the female audience, the female modern audience that the show is clearly made for. In true Amazon DEI intersectional feminist fashion, we get to see the new husband strip off his clothes, and then the Fallout is female Lucy lady just takes her panties off and then mounts him while still wearing her wedding dress. They have sex, they're in bed, she's still wearing her wedding dress, and then things start to go sideways. She sees scars on his body, and then her Pip-Boy lets her know that the guy that she just banged is more radioactive than Sharon Noble. We then get a fight scene where very clearly the raider who she just had sex with is beating the living shit out of her, but because this is intersectional storytelling and the Fallout is female, she gets the upper hand somehow, smashes a glass, and literally shreds the sides of his face. We then immediately cut to God. The vault dwellers, especially the men standing around getting massacred by the group of raiders, which is led by an African-American female. God. And that goes on for a while. Only the women seem to be fighting back, including a pregnant white woman who then gets stabbed in the eye with a fork. The fight scenes were gratuitously disgusting and violent, which, if we're fair about it, is actually what it was like when you played Fallout the game. I understand where Nolan was going with this, but it's the agenda underneath all of this that is absolutely ruining this show. It's not just that. It's the pacing. It's the casting. It's a lot of decisions with this. The show is beautiful. There's some great elements that really do capture what Fallout is. I mean, again, the problem is Hollywood has to remind us how bad we are. Not only us, but America. How much they hate America. Now we go back to the Fallout is female lady, Lucy, who's full of radioactive raider sperm, and she gets locked in a room while her father is taken by African-American raider lady, and thus we have the fundamental basis of what I'm guessing the rest of the season will be. Now, while these bodies are being cleaned up, there's a meeting to decide what to do. All of the vault dwellers. Someone suggests that they open the vault to everybody, so everybody from the wastelands can come into the vault, which is clearly an allegory for all of the third world people that are invading all of Western civilization, especially America right now. And then someone says something of, but if we do that, we'll lose all our power. See what I'm on about Hollywood? I'm not seeing ghosts. This is Amazon. This show, just like every other goddamn show from Amazon, is meant to do one thing. It's meant to make us hate ourselves. Let's get on to the next scene. It doesn't get any better. We go to the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, Nolan's depiction characterization of the Brotherhood of Steel is entirely inaccurate from the games. There is no military order. There is no discipline. The squires, the clerics, the power armor soldiers, the knights all look like assholes. Now we got a black guy who fucking vacant stare, hood rat looking vibe. But his best friend is the they-them from Wheel of Time. Zela Jones. Zela Jones was the most cringe element of Wheel of Time Season 2, and there was a whole hell of a lot of fucking cringe in Wheel of Time Season 2. Don't worry, they-them is back to be the bestest ever recruit for the Brotherhood of Steel. In fact, she's so great, she's going to be whatever the fuck it is. I don't care anymore. Demonetize this video, YouTube. Bestest ever, whatever the hell it is going to be a squire, and somebody sabotages they-them's boots and puts a razor blade in it so that they-them can't be promoted, and black guy, who was jealous of that, instead gets her job. Is this an allegory for diversity, equity, in inclusion in hiring Amazon? Because it sure looked like that to me. So now we've got the unqualified black guy who's in the job that should have went to the they-them. He then gets in a whirlybird helicopter to go with the knight, that's who's in the power armor, and they take off going somewhere. We then jump to a scene where the original cowboy dude that was the only good part of this episode in pre-war is now a ghoul who's buried in a casket that has to be dug up by hillbillies. Yes, that's right. We have West Virginia hillbillies digging up this ghoul guy who's survived after 200 years. He's buried in the ground in a casket with IV bags going into him. Apparently, there's a bounty on his head. We find out that ghoul guy actually needs to go and follow somebody from the Enclave, who's some science guy who's got something that they need that's really valuable, and that's your MacGuffin. Now, did I do a fair and accurate, detailed assessment of this episode? No. Am I trying to be sensational? No. What I am is I was bored. I was bored and I was frustrated. And throughout this episode, objectively speaking, like I removed the need to say, hey, this is accurate to Fallout. This show is loaded with tons of vibes and scenes straight out of the video game. The armor, the weapons, the whole feel. The problem is the story. And in some cases, the characters. This show, like so many other shows on Amazon, to me, is a skin suit for injecting every type of globalist narrative and talking point you can find. Not a moment is spared. Not a scene is spared where they can't insert something that shits on America, that shits on men, especially Caucasian straight men, and does everything to make women look smarter, better, the bestest ever that it can. It's tiresome. Put it in the totality of how every Amazon show, whether it's The Peripheral, which John Nolan or whatever the hell Nolan dude did, last thing, female character, Wheel of Time, female characters, despite being a story about boys. Rings of Power, we got Warrior Gladriel. This is all Amazon knows how to do. And at this point, I might just be so burned out and so rightfully jaded that I can't take this shit seriously. What's interesting is I wish I could show you all of the text messages that I sent to Prophet of the Dragon, Nerdporeal Lifeform, Alex from the White Cloaks, Nathan and Manna Manethrin. We were all kind of watching this simultaneously and holding our comments until we finished episode 1, and we all kind of ended up in the same place. I don't want to watch this shit. And it's not because we're trying to be sensational. It's baffling with the amount of money and time and effort and care and stage setup and Easter eggs from this franchise that are put in to create a story, which, number one, is boring as fuck and contains every single goddamn intersectional feminist checkbox DEI orgy shit that we get in everything from Amazon. Anyway, I'm Salty Traveling. See? If you watched this show, if you made it this far through my review, kudos to you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you think this was even mildly entertaining, watching me lose my mind over yet another Amazon show, let me know in the comments section below. You have a good one.